The following is a presentation of TFNN. Trade what you see with Larry Pesavento. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, Larry Pesavento.
Okay, looking good, Billy Ray, feeling good, Lewis. I posted the chart of the FTSE. You can see here it's really moved up quite a bit from the 61% retracement. Very strong thrust. That tells you it's probably going to complete that ABCD up there. Now remember, the UK is not the USA, so the prices and the things, the patterns are going to be different. So we've seen that over and over again. So trade each pattern separately. I don't trade the FTSE. I never have. I've only traded the DAX a few times when I was in London when I traded with Tom Hugard live, and that's what was the last time. It was September the 13th, 14th, and 15th of last year. Now, a lot of things were happening last night, folks. One of the things, before we get into that, let's just go into frustration index number 2. Oh, before we do that, today is the day for the Armistice Day. It's actually Veterans Day. That we want to remember our veterans. This was the end of World War I, the worst world war we've ever had. We lost more there than any other time, and it was a terrible war. But try to do something, for the for the veterans. Now we have a huge veterans hospital here in Tucson because the climate's so great. It's a 450-bed hospital. It's quite nice. And every year, Sarah and I take our books and our little keychains that we have and our pencils and things that we give away, and we go down and we offer the veterans a 3% discount on anything that they buy. Now, if you believe that, I still have 10 shares of the Brooklyn Bridge. When Mark Douglas moved here in August of 1997, it was the first time we had a Veterans Day together, and he wanted to go down there, so we did. And there's a lot of veterans down there, folks, but you can't do everything for every veteran. But what you can do is go to the service people that are taking care of the veterans. And so what Mark decided to do is we'll buy pizza for everybody that's, working in the kitchen area and also the sanitation people. So it mounted to about 50 pizzas. And so we went over to the best pizza place in Tucson, which is Rocco's, and we found out that Rocco was none other than a Vietnam veteran, and actually he had been shot a couple times, so he was not disabled, but he was hurting. Anyway, that went on for quite a few years, but now they're all taken care of. The veterans got better health care than they've had in years now, but it's pretty nice. All right, let's move on to a couple things. This is what we call frustration index today, folks. Let me show you last night. I'm watching the British pound. Let's try it again, Larry. The euro. We're watching the euro, and I'm seeing this beautiful 382 retracement there at 1.1843. So I said, well, we ought to sell at 1.842. And so I put it in at 1.841 just to make sure that I would be filled. It hits 1.841 and stays there. Excuse me, it was the Civil War. You're absolutely right. The Civil War, more soldiers died in the Civil War than any other. I wasn't around in the Civil. I wasn't around during World War I either. So, but you're right. There were a lot of them. I think what I was thinking of, Zip, was worldwide because there were millions and millions of people killed worldwide with World War I. But Civil War was, oh gosh. And now let's get off the politics. They should never turn these. They should leave all these statues up, folks. Those are very, very important. Okay, so anyway, I missed the euro. Okay, that's really a good one. So I missed that. And believe me, here's what I'm doing now is I'm trading with Trader Tom last night because we were watching several markets, really, really closely. And so things are working pretty good and everything. So I missed the euro. So I'm looking over here, and I found a really nice pattern here in the crude oil. It hits a perfect price here in the crude oil. You'll see here, this was at 42.82. The high was 43.03. Okay, and it looks absolutely perfect. And let's get up here. I want to show you one other thing about this that makes it look really interesting because we talk about when I do the floor traders manuals, when you get the perfect ABCD. In other words, where the AB leg is perfect to the CD leg, and it's perfect in time. In other words, the number of bars that goes up is equal to the same in the AB as in the CD. That came in at around 42.82. Well, I'm chatting with Tom in his room, and he said, "Okay, we're gonna look at this." And so it turned out to be okay. The problem was I'm sitting in front of my machine. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I fell asleep. I didn't hear the beeper go off. So I missed that one. And then another one I had an order sitting in there all night to sell the S&P at the magical number of 59.69 is what it was. That was a 382 retracement. And of course, we got there. We missed it by 2 points, and then we dropped 25 handles. Well, when I looked at it, it was down 25 handles. So I said, well, if it gets back up there again, I don't think I want it. What did it do? It went right back up there again, and now it's back down again. So I just what I'm watching here, we're trading at a 35.65 right now, and I think it's okay. Now, one of the questions that we had from yesterday was I beat the drum, if you remember, really loudly about the NASDAQ. And the reason why I was beating that drum was because it was at a 61% retracement of the double low that we made in October and November. That's really important, boys and girls. You can see it right there. The number was at 11565. It made a low of 11505, and that was just a fast tick, as you can see. And then last night it pulled off to almost a 61% retracement, and now has completed the ABCD up there at 11,786, it looks like. So, and we're a little bit below that right now. So that's what I was looking at, folks. That's why it was so important. Nothing magical, just a number that was just sitting there, and it has typical capabilities of being a magnet type thing. So we should pay close attention to those as we look at those. I think it's important, but it's frustrating, when you miss them. That's the problem. Part of it is just being trying to do too much, I think, because there's so much going on. Ever since before the election, we've been really, the yen has been incredibly good. The gold just still looks like the gold, folks. If you'll notice here, we've been waiting for this for quite a long time. We've talked about it several times, but if you look at the break that we had in August, that was a $200 break. And I believe, given the thrust that we've got going right now, we're probably going to get $200 off of the 1960. And if you take a look at the 24/7 newsletter, you'll see that level is going to be a 61% retracement down there at 1,760, and that's going to be the first very, very large ABCD in a very long time. Marshall is asking about bonds. We're going to take up a collection for bonds. It's folks, it's very simple. Just go to GoFundMe.com. bond/Larry Pesavento, and you can give a donation to the bond market, because this market is in deep trouble, folks. No matter what they try to tell us about negative interest rates, they're not negative here in the United States. Something's really wrong. That's something that you want to make a pretty good idea on that. So let's pay attention to that. Okay, now let's remember about the bonds here. Well, we'll take a break here.
If you're not currently using the TAS Profile Scanner when looking at setting up your trading opportunities, then your arsenal is short a mighty weapon. The TAS Profile Scanner is a standalone piece of software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Headed by Steve Dahl, TAS understands that in today's technological world, the use of top-flight software applications and technical analysis expertise is essential to successful trading in today's market. You also gain access to the webinar that Steve Dahl and Tom O'Brien just hosted, The Best Way to Use the TAS Profile Scanner to Profit. This webinar archive is available for all subscribers immediately upon signing up. All new subscriptions also come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Start your subscription by visiting the front page of TFNN.com today, and you'll find the TAS Profile Scanner under the Services tab. Sign up today. Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Okay, folks, I posted the chart of what my AI is supposed to look like today. Anyway, it's forecasting a down day. The key is it must be making a high around 10:30 and 11 o'clock. It's making a high up in that area. That's what you'd like to be seeing. Ideally, the high would be at about 35.71. But remember, I'm trying to separate well, let's just move salt from pepper. Let's move on to a couple other things that we need to talk about. Rich Anderson will be our guest at the break. We're going to be talking about you folks are. I think the most common name in the world, folks, is Wu. I think it is in Chinese. I think it's Sarah would know. I'll have to ask her. Sarah, what's the most common name in China?
Last name?
Yeah.
Chan.
Chan. Most common last name is Chan, Chan, like Jackie Chan, my closest and dearest friend over in Hong Kong. Every time I go to Hong Kong, Jackie and I hang out at the disco clubs and stuff. He's always a great guy. Anyway, let's move on here to you can see that I've been taking good medication today, so we'll watch a couple of things. Anyway, what you want to be watching for is to see that market rally up into that 35.71 area at the key time, which is 10:30, 11. Remember, yesterday we said watch 10:30 or 11, and that's exactly the time. Within 15 minutes is when that NASDAQ made its low and proceeded to rally 200 handles. So these numbers don't work all the time, but they work some of the time, and that's the key to watching. Now let's get back to what Marshall talked about with the bonds. Folks, I posted that bond chart. You know, when we were up there at 72, nobody thought these could ever go down to 70. And now look at we broke 70 last night. We got to 169.15. Now they're going to have a rally somewhere in here, but the heart of this bull market is now broken, folks. Both notes and bonds look bearish. They might change today, but right now, what they're trying to tell us in the Fed about negative interest rates or wherever they're trying to tell us, rates are going higher, not lower. We're not very far away from a 2% 30-year bond. You know, that would be a big surprise if we get them a 2.1 or something. You know, my goodness, what's going to happen to the Treasury? when they have to start paying off all of this stuff that they've issued all of these U.S. government bonds that the Federal Reserve asked them to put out. Now, who's going to have to pay the interest rate on that? Raise your hand, Larry. Everybody in the office here at TFNN, raise your right hand, because you're going to be paying higher interest rates. And what do you think is going to happen when the interest rates on the U.S. Treasury start to go up instead of down? Guess what's going to happen to the U.S. dollar, folks? The U.S. dollar is going to go higher. The reason why is people are going to start putting money into the U.S. market so they can get more money. It's not the return. They're always concerned on how much they're going to make on their money. So don't be concerned on the return on your money. Be concerned on the return of your money. The words from Bernard Baruch in his book, My Own Story. When we have Rich on at the break, we're going to be talking about the big report that we had in the grains yesterday. We had a 40-cent move up in soybeans. We had a 12-cent move up in wheat, and we also had a nice move up in corn of about 20 cents. Now, one of our listeners that was in the market was interested in, buying something. And so what he decided to do, he decided to buy the wheat because it was the weakest. Well, folks, if you go back to Jesse Livermore's book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, by far one of the greatest books ever written on investment, he talks in there, always buy the strongest thing and always sell the weakest thing. And that's in true. Like if you were to get a margin call, get rid of the things that are hurting you, folks. If you're short 3 things and one of them is hurting you really badly, get rid of that one for the margin. That's the best way to do that. Now, that's the opposite of what most people think, and that's why Trader's Tom paper on the best loser wins is so important, because you have to have that mindset. You have to protect the capital, and that's really what you're looking at. So anyway, remember, I know that he had that big hit last week of 792 large. He made that back, well, almost all of it, in just a few days. So, that's not a big deal. But you've got to be focused on how much money you lose, not how much money you can make. And that's the real key here of following, what we're doing here as we're watching too. I've got some order setting in here today, so I've got to pay very, very close attention to what is going on here. And we're going to see what's going on in just a second here. And we're still setting, well, not much happening in the stock market. The bonds are trading at 170.05, down on the day again. We had an overnight low of 169.21. We were able to rally about 3/4 of a handle up to about 170.11. We're now trading at 170.05. I wouldn't touch the bonds unless you could get them down about 169.11. That would be a 1.27 expansion. It's so oversold that you're going to get a rally. Well, we've heard that before, haven't we? We don't know whether there's going to be a rally or not, but that would be the logical place, to take a calculated risk would be at 169.11 if you're going to, watch that. So that's the main thing. Someone just asked the question is, what happens if the stocks are moving lower at 10 o'clock, which is in an hour, 10:30, which is an hour instead of higher? That's going to set up a very, very negative day to the downside, folks. So we've been up now for quite a few days here in some of these things. Now, not so much in the NASDAQ, because, they beat that horse, pretty badly. If we look at that NASDAQ chart again, you can see I'm talking about just barely made a 382 today, and now we're substantially under that. So those are a few things that you really need to look at. Yes, they're talking about Bill O'Neill. My daughter's very first date that she ever had was with Bill's son, and they were in the same area where we lived there, and it was a nice guy. His partner on this was Al McGuire, and Al was where is the U.S.? Yes, I think the U.S. dollar is going higher. Look at the euro. I mean, we're way below 118 now. I posted that 382 retracement that was happening last night at 118.41. It didn't get filled there, but now we're 80 handles under that. So this thing is it's moving down in a really strong trend. Remember, folks, when you have a really strong trend, let's give you a 2 cents worth. This is something that I covered when we did a seminar. Tom and I did this seminar in London last year, is to watch these markets that are strongly trending. Look at the euro. This was back when it was at the 109 level before it made the major low. You see the 382 retracements all the way through over the last 7 days? I mean, every major 382 retracement was a sell, every single one of them. So that's what you got to look at. I mean, that's not rocket science, but you're still really able to do that. So we'll see that. So hopefully I'll be able to take off Thursday and Friday tomorrow and Friday. Friday is going to have Norm Winsky will be my guest. I'm hoping that David White will be able to help me out. If not, somebody else for TFNN will cover me for these next 2 days, because this old cowboy is just flat tired. When I start making errors, folks, I know I put the old timeout signal, blow the whistle, and go to the bench for a couple of days, because I don't like to get. They happen to be working in the right direction, but there's still errors, and I don't like those. We'll be right back with Rich Anderson, folks.
Larry Pesavento watches the markets 24/7, and now is a great time to try out his daily trading service, Fibonacci 24/7. Larry publishes videos and charts for subscribers throughout the week when warranted, and every weekend he puts out a thorough report covering worldwide markets, futures, commodities, and currencies with Fibonacci retracement levels, possible trading setups and zones, and stops and targets for all recommendations included. Larry applies the principles he's developed over decades of trading while analyzing a variety of markets for subscribers. To see for yourself the types of videos, charts, and analysis that Larry provides for his subscribers, sign up for Fibonacci 24/7 today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under the newsletter tab. You'll also gain instant access to Larry's archived subscriber webinar from earlier this year. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Sign up today. If you're a trader in the market looking to find the path that leads to maximizing profits while decreasing risk, then now is a great time to try out Dave White's daily trading service, The Path of Least Resistance. Through the use of options and equity trades, Dave advises his subscribers on a daily basis of the current market conditions and what possible trade setups are on the horizon. The Path of Least Resistance is published every trading morning, often with updates intraday when initiating trades or closing out positions. Dave White has advised his clients of some outstanding winning options and equity trades in recent months, and now is a great time to try it out for yourself. New subscribers to the Path of Least Resistance receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the types of options and equity trades that are available by signing up for the Path of Least Resistance today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com and selecting the newsletter tab. Sign up today. TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and I believe we have Rich Anderson on the line this morning. Rich, how are you doing?
Doing great. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning to you, my friend. First of all, the grain report. You want to give the folks a bird's eye view of what it was all about and what happened?
Well, as I've mentioned in previous reports, once you start to have a trend, the trend, seems to continue. And that's not only true of the markets, but it's true of reports. And so we had the yields taken down in both corn and beans, and that leaves the carryout of soybeans at or at 190 million bushels, and the carryout for corn at 1.7 billion bushels. Well, 4 months ago, maybe, we were looking at a carryout for this year right now at 2.7 billion. So between the increase in demand and reduction of the crop production, we've reduced the carryout by 1 billion bushels, and that has consequences. The carryouts, what keeps you going from season to season. Who knows, how next year's crop's going to go? Most of the time, it works fine. But when, take soybeans as an example, the pipeline is about 140 million bushels. So if you're down to 190 million bushels, there's not a lot of extra room there, shall we say. So the bottom line is they continue to lower the yields and they increase the demand. The markets responded to that. We had tremendous selling as the harvest was going on. Now the harvest is done. Most of the stuff's locked up in the bins. Farmers have the money they need through the end of the year. It's going to be a little difficult to motivate them to take stuff that they just put into a grain bin and bring it out and sell it. So it's going to be very interesting. And so the focus now is going to be on South American weather. Can Brazil and Argentina grow decent crops? We have a La Nina year this year. It's been dry down in Brazil. That's going to be alleviated over the next 15 days. It's a little dry in Argentina, but the dryness in Argentina over the next 15 days is probably going to increase. But it does cool off next week down in South America. So they're watching the weather. But I think the thing that tells everything is just watching the charts and trade what you see.
Do you, going back about 45 years ago, Rich, when we first met, how we used to watch the reports coming out of coming out of Venezuela and some of these other countries, down Brazil, where they were watching the flow of the anchovies. Do you remember that when they were talking about El Nino? I can remember that now. I don't know if that means much, if the anchovies mean anything. To grind anchovies up and to put it in.
And back then, South America didn't have any massive corn and bean production. But once the soybean embargo in 1973, the Japanese, as an example, started sending 30,000 people a year to Brazil to start developing a soybean industry. And they've done a tremendous job of it. So it used to be that seasonal was just based on the U.S. crop and the weather concerns of the U.S. crop. But now there's a double seasonal, the weather concerns of the U.S. crop in July in corn, in August in beans, and we also have it down in Brazil and Argentina, which is just the opposite. Just takes 6 months, and it's a big deal what goes on, because when your carryout's reduced, you just have less wiggle room.
That's for sure. Rich, is there much talk in the trade about global warming and some of these things that we hear about all the time? Because I know there's weather problems in Brazil, but is there any type of talk like that it could be having effects for years?
Well, the global warming mantra was, back in the Al Gore days, so he could get the carbon exchange going. That that thing has made him about $1 billion, from what I hear. And now it's the weather is changing, which weather is constantly changing. But no, that the La Nina, they watch ocean temperatures and stuff like that. And La Ninas affect weather. We know that Australia should have a better wheat crop this year because La Nina, while it's bad to South America, in most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, it's helpful to Australia. But no, not really. Not like you hear. It's not a political event in the markets. The thing that the markets are focused on is price, supply, and demand. They don't focus on the politics.
So basically, you're telling me that a politician made $1 billion on climate change? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, he had a speaking post, and he got a lot of people to believe. And back then, it was global warming. but they're not talking about that as much now. Just that the weather's changing, and the weather, the elliptical orbit of the sun throughout the universe has a great impact on the distance to the Earth, and that has a great impact on the magnetic poles and on weather. And this is way beyond our comprehension, particularly mine, but pretty much everybody apparently. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Particularly, folks, I don't know anybody that actually reads any more than what our good friend Rich Anderson does. I mean, he reads more than anybody. So that's very, very important to remember that. Now, I have two questions about the hogs and cattle, and then we'll let you go, Rich. What's your feeling on the hogs and cattle?
Well, the futures market's gotten ahead of the cash market and the cattle, so the carcass prices have gone up. But when you're X amount above the futures or above the cash, it limits your amount of upside. And then you got the problem of COVID and what that's going to do to demand. Yesterday, our governor made more restrictions. I think there were 3 governors in the United States that made more restrictions. You got European countries like France and Germany. They're constricting things. People are starting to hoard again. So there's a good deal of a demand. And the concern always exists that all of a sudden the plant gets a bunch of COVID cases, and then they have to shut the plant down. That who's going to kill the cattle or the hogs? And those are the problems. I don't see those as huge opportunities right now. And the markets will tell us when we're high enough on the corn and beans. For the moment, no market goes straight up. And then there'll be these retracements. But the key point will be sometime in February or March, as the farmer's determining how many acres, that's probably when we'll see the highs in the grain markets, in the corn and the beans. And then we'll wait and see what the weather is during the summer. But it's going to be volatile in the next, between now and end of February, early March, because the market's function is to ration demand and to increase the acreage so that we have enough carryout for the following year in 21.
Wow. That's really something. I'll tell you, it looks to me like cattle prices are going to be really, really expensive this winter, especially coming into the Thanksgiving, the ham and, all the other stuff. It looks like it's going to go way up in price.
Right.
Hey, Rich, I'll let you go, buddy, because I know you're swamped today, buddy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with you soon.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. The printing presses are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The U.S. deficit has risen 200% in 1 year with no end in sight. The markets are looking for an additional stimulus bill to get us through this once-in-a-generation pandemic. There is no free lunch, folks. The more stimulus dollars put into the marketplace, the less your dollar is worth each and every day. This is the time to protect yourself with a portion of your portfolio in the metal market. The Gold Report comes out each Monday morning. I bisect and dissect the dollar, silver, gold, the XAU, and the HUI. The Gold Report is a long-term hedge against the dilution of your buying power. The U.S. has put more than $6 trillion into the marketplace in the last 6 months, with more expected in the next few months. The market did and does need the stimulus, but it will have long-term implications on our buying power. The Gold Report comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to TFNN.com and order the Gold Report now. Protect your buying power. Order the Gold Report now.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The Bull Bear Trading Hour with Tom and Tommy O'Brien. Next.
Okay, folks, I post some of those AI things up because I frankly don't have a lot to talk about every day because all I know is patterns. And I know you get a little tired of listening to it, but I try to do the best I can in what direction I think the market's going. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. Well, I want you to notice something, folks. You know, the S&P's been going down and the NASDAQ has been going flat out straight up since right after the opening. And I think you better pay very, very close attention to it today, folks. Let me show you why. While we were listening to Rich, my little alert went off to give me a little heads up that what we talked about earlier in the morning about the 382 and why it was so important. Look what happened to the NASDAQ when the S&P is going down making new lows. This was 15 minutes ago. The NASDAQ has rallied 100 points. And it's, it's really starting to move. I mean, this is a very, very positive sign. So what we have to do now is we've got to go back and see what the possibility is going to be for a bottom coming in here in the stock market instead of a top. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to look at right now. All I'm going to do now is to take the forecast and then invert it to see where we are, and it'll give us a pretty good idea of what should happen because it's really good when it's looking at things that look very, very exciting. And here, this is what we're looking at now in the S&P. We should have a high coming in at the level of around 1130. And if we're not any higher than that number we were looking at, 3571, folks, that's going to be bearish on the day. And remember, it's nothing more than a forecast. And, forecasts are like the weather. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But the one thing, if it's not working after about 10 or 15 minutes, you know that something's probably wrong. So pay a close attention to them because it's interesting. I posted the natural gas that we've been looking at. It was just absolutely perfect this morning, and I guess it was related to the crude oil. But again, that much I don't know what's going to look on right now. Okay, let's move on. This does not go, folks. Someone asked about monthlies and dailies. Folks, when we're doing this, this is all based on intraday. We're looking at 2-minute bars. We go back and we look at 60,000 2-minute bars, and then it gives a prediction of what should happen based on what's happened in the past. It moves it out into the future, but it's all related to time. It has nothing to do with the price part. So you've got to remember that it's all related to time. That's why this key number of 3571 is so very, very important. We'd like to see that be happening around 10:30 right now. We've got another 45 minutes to see if that's going to do that. That's another 22 handles or 22 bars. So you have to be very, very careful. Hold on. We've got a question coming in from somebody. See if we can get it up here. And let's say take a little bit here. Oh, there was just someone saying thank you to Rich Anderson for coming on. Yeah, Rich has been with us for 19. I met Rich in 1967, See, they just opened the county offices in '69. I met him in 1969. He was a broker at Payne Weber, and you'll never guess who he hired to work with him. And that was none other than Cy Monley. And now Cy has got a huge business. He's got 350 employees, and he's busier than a one-arm paper hanger. Okay, regarding the gold, boys and girls, we got the gold trading here this morning. Let's see if we can get this up here. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to get these charts lined up so we'll be able to see them without too much trouble. Where is the gold? We are down here. Where are you, gold? Shut the front door. I've lost the gold. The gold is trading at 1863. We had a low of 1854, almost a double bottom from what we had before. So we should be in a little bit of an uptrend here in gold for a very short time. And then around 11 o'clock, I would be looking at a spot where you might want to be take a look at it from the short side here, but we'll take a quick look at it just to see what's going on. I'm not going to do this every day, folks. This is just a special day because if you ever saw that movie with Sylvester Stallone, when he does all the rock climbing and stuff, I can't remember the name of it, but that's how I feel. I feel like I'm rock climbing, but as I'm rock climbing, I have WD-40 on my hands and I'm slipping everywhere. When I start making errors, folks, I get really scared. And so not scared, I get concerned and I try to take a little bit of time off. Fortunately, they were on the right side, but when I make an error, I said, uh-oh, that means I'm just a little bit overtired. And, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm going to be 40 pretty soon. So I've got to be very careful here as I get older in age. Now, we've moved over 100 points now on the NASDAQ after hitting that 382 retracement, folks. There should be small resistance at 11,842. Right now, we're at 11,814. So watch that. But remember, the NASDAQ is not the it's not the S&P because you're only looking at about 10 stocks that can do all this. And one of them, let's just check and see how Apple is doing just for kicks and giggles, just to see if we can get the old Apple chart up here. We always have one of these that we watch because it is the biggest stock that everybody owns and everybody loves. Someday that won't be the case, but right now that's what it is. And we'll get up here and we'll take a quick look at Apple. Oh, this is really setting up for something really nice here in Apple, boys and girls. Let's just move this over just a tiny little bit here, and we'll see here that we have a chance here to have a nice little, pay very, very close attention to this, folks, because if the market's going to be bullish, let's just get this. Apple's coming down really nice. We want to see Apple around 1145. Look, we've come down 3 points in Apple just from the 2.5 points since the overnight. So watch the Apple 1145. That's going to be very interesting. So that's another one to pay very, very close attention to. Remember, this has got to work within 20 minutes or it's NG, and that means no good. And you don't want to miss in front of that one. That's absolutely for sure. No question about it. So let's move on here. Another question that someone had was about the grains. I gave a choice, folks, to sell the corn. We missed the corn sale by 2 cents. We did get the soybean oil off as a sale. I sent those of you to get to 24/7. It's working a little bit, which is good. We missed the soybeans by a penny, and they're down about 8 cents. So we have to just wait and see what's happened. But like I said, you don't want to do both. You'd either do the corn or the oil. And since you did the oil, don't do the corn. So that's what you try to do when you're doing some of these things. Because sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And if you're putting oil and beans on at the same time, you're doubling your position, and you don't want to do that. That's not something that you really want to do. That's not very important. See, we were down 10 cents from where we wanted to sell corn early this morning, but the oil started to work a little bit, which was good, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue doing it. That's for sure. That's really what you're watching here. So you got to pay close attention to that when you're watching some of these things. Hold on. I'm trying to catch up with the prices today to make sure where we are. All righty. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay. The oil is now underwater by 215 pips. So we're about $90 underwater in oil, and we're risking $250 in that. And but we didn't get filled in the other one, so that's the way it goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. This is not a loser yet. We got plenty of room on that if we're correct, and it's got a lot of patterns that tell us that we should back off. But again, they don't always work that way. All righty, now we got oh my goodness, the break time is coming. It goes so fast. Remember, folks, you will have Norm Winski as our guest on Friday. Norm Winski will be our guest on Friday.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us. And Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archived workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
With markets trading with extreme volatility and peaks and troughs everywhere, regardless of what you're looking at in the markets, this is a great time to see the type of analysis Basil Chapman delivers for his subscribers every market day with the Opening Call newsletter. Basil has been analyzing markets, providing his take for subscribers to his trading services since 1984. Every morning, Basil publishes an update for his subscribers, along with weekend and evening updates when warranted. The Opening Call provides traders a daily market overview with regard to the direction of the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, along with specific recommendations, including stops and targets. You also gain instant access to Basil's subscriber webinar archive from earlier this year, a dark cloud cover, and essential market analysis. Ride the Chapman wave today by signing up for the Opening Call newsletter on the front page of TFNN.com under the newsletter tab. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Sign up today.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, folks, I have posted a chart. It's an article from Bill Meridian. He sent it to me last night. It's going to be in Forbes magazine, and he's talking about the energy stocks making long-term lows at this time. So pay attention to what Bill has to say, folks. It's right there. You can see it, Forbes. Great speculations on with Bill Meridian, and hopefully we'll have him on next week, and he'll go over some of the other stuff we're looking at. We'll have Norm Winski as your guest on Friday. Of course, I'll be back with you right after on Monday. But right now, folks, I am desperately needing a little bit of time off, and I don't even want to look at the darn machine because I've been watching it so much lately that it's been my eyes are getting blurred. Anyway, it's when you make an error, like you put an order in to sell something at 43.22 and you want to sell it at 42.32 and you don't get filled, you know that there's something wrong. And when you make 2 or 3 of those within a day or two, you know that you're overtired. And Mark always told me, whenever you see that, you just got to take a little bit off. Bill Cerubi is his real name. That's his real name. His stage name is Bill Meridian. And the Meridian, of course, is from the astrology part. But he is Italian descent. Known Bill for 40 years. He's a super guy, very, very smart too. Gosh, he has, I don't know if you know this, but he made a lot of money building these games that you see on TV, these war games and stuff. That's what he did. He built those things years ago before they were really popular. And then he sold his company to these dudes and they took off with it. But he made a good piece of change, on the way up. But he's very, very technically oriented. He knows history like the back of his hand, which is really good. I don't know what the names of them were originally, but they were some really, they were very, very important. The video games, when they first coming out, that's basically it. The euro, the yen, dollar, stay with it, folks. That's got a long way to go. It's up about 270 handles right now, 270 points. So you want to be able to take a look at that as we go through watching some of these. So live every day in an attitude of gratitude, and may God bless. We'll see you all on Monday. Norm Winsky on Friday.